when we say Canaanite, can, it's what the child longs to do, of course. Can, primacy of God. Negation, to move on, to develop, to become an adult. Cayn and night. I, self. Night, darkness. Transitory, travel out of. Canaanite. It's not that Canaanites are all bad, they're simply children. They get it wrong. They're frightened of God. You can be frightened of the parent, even when the parent is really not to be frightened of, but to be loved. And man in his childhood has seen God as that, a proliferation of incoherent, immoral, overpowering forces. And in fear and trepidation, he tries to appease with sacrifice, offerings. What can I give that's of worth back? You see, it's a terror view of God, and it results in a sacrificial understanding of relationship. And you've got God in the end, the epitome of it, God actually sacrificing his son on the cross. And this is the hallmark of Christianity. Frightening, isn't it? I mean, it's just appalling. It's even put his name to it. Paul. Pa, or, laid down, submitted to. Paul, I again, my way. But I want an ending to it. Because I want God, the love of God. Pauline, you. How awful to be labelled with this stigma for thousands of years. As he says, echoing Plato, now we see dimly, shadows, but then face to face. You see, Paul is anticipating the glory. Of course, the story gets all mangled up in other ways. I mean, Abraham comes from Ur of the Chaldees. We mean Persia, for goodness sake. And he's fled from, it's not just, oh, wouldn't it be nice to take a journey, we'll go and live somewhere else, dear. He's getting out of Persia because it's a nightmare. Ur of the Chaldees. And he travels into a very childish civilization, Canaan. Or at least Abraham gets that far. I mean, his dad left with the family. And you know, it's not a couple of camels and a few relatives. It's a tribal migration, perhaps we're talking about. We don't know. We've no idea what the true history is. We just have a historicity, and it may be just a very convenient story. That doesn't matter. What matters is what matters in it. What does it teach? Goes into virgin territory from his point of view, a childish place. People believe in sacrifice and all sorts of horrific stuff. They sacrifice their own children. But company is dominant, and you're with these people long enough, you take on their ways, and the whole story of the Old Testament is this struggle, or seen as a struggle, of the people to resist all the pagan influence, not helped by someone like Solomon having 300 wives and 700 concubines from all the nations round about. I mean, it's not good company. They've got some very corrupt ways from the pristine Hebrew point of view. And so we end up with a religion that, reinterprets the progress of the religion, Jesus' story, reinterprets it as a Canaanite tragedy again. Oh my goodness. Even God's sacrificing his sons now. This is the effect of bad company. You should be careful. I don't mean you should see the Canaanites as evil, the children around you, the people of this world as evil. That's not the way to go. But immature, yes. They're not heavenly yet. They don't know God yet. That's a big handicap, poor souls. I mean, it's blindness, isn't it? Deafness. They can't hear. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. I'm come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. In what way? Well, I'm telling you, God is your dad. He's a perfect, complete, all-powerful, all-loving, utterly lovely person. And he's your dad and you're his child. That transforms your whole view. If only you have ears to hear. And if you suffer long enough in this wilderness of the world, you will have ears to hear. And suddenly it all makes a great deal of sense to you, whereas before it was just nonsense, no sense at all, has no rhyme or reason, it's just nonsense. There you are. You need more experience in the world in that case, until you have ears to hear. And I don't mean that in a hard way. I mean it in a sorrowful way. It is great sorrow, great unhappiness, and the love of God, your dad, reaches ever down to you, into you, with you, leading you through, though you cannot see and cannot hear, because he loves you. You're his child, and he is your dad. Love you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Yes, I mean, you got it right. Canaanite is from Cain. Cain slew Abel, it was his brother. Kids are terrible with other kids. You've got to get out there in the yard, in the playground, where they are, to police it, to protect them from each other. It's a nightmare for kids. Other kids. Sometimes. Not all the time. They long for friendship because they're born of God. They want family too. They want brothers and sisters that are fun to play with and things to do. But of course they're children, and in their not willful, I'm not talking about evil intent. I'm talking about children, childishness, ignorance. You could say stupidity, yes, but have compassion. I mean, they don't know the way. They murder each other, and Cain did. And then he was plagued with guilt, and that kept him out of the garden. they're already out the garden, poor souls. But he still talks to God. He says, I can't cope with this burden. Right, says God, in the story. I shall make it that anyone who kills you, harms you, will be harmed 7 times more. That's my threat. Oh, thank you. We're dealing with kids. But God loves us. There's no good saying God doesn't love Hitler or doesn't love Judas. Of course he does. Every breath he took was only because God allowed it, had it so. Sure, they're on tortuous paths, but we trust God, a necessary path. I can't explain it all. I can't give you justification. All it's with God. I just know in my heart I want to trust it to him. So I do. And that, as I understand it, is how we should be with what the Christian church has labelled as sin. Was just error originally in archery, but now it's wicked, evil intent. It's not, it's blind stupidity. But not intentional, it's childhood. You see someone like Hitler, intensely patriotic, so patriotic he was awarded the Iron Cross for his bravery as a dispatch rider in the First World War. Someone to be admired and respected and loved, and my goodness, was he too. But still a child. Making horrendous mistakes. But not, I claim, beyond the power of God. For this is a world of good and evil, that we all may come to know the good and reject the evil, and love the good. Wow. I have this assurance. How? I'm dwelling on all that's good and lovely, not dwelling on the Holocaust. That's just horrific, of course. But I have this assurance because of the goodness of God, not because of the ignorance of man. They're children. Of course they're ignorant. But God loves. Here I stand. Said Martin Luther. Here I stand. I know what I value. In a sense, I know my God, and I trust he will adjust my view as is necessary in his loving kindness. And that's why I'm still here. Not just for the benefit and bounty of all. He could have done that without me. I'm here because I need to be here. And when I've finished being here, I shall be gone. I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. And they will say, in Victorian language, the late Marshal Richard Hope, born Marshal Richard Clark, with various other names as well, which we won't go into now.